We are live. This is Empire State of Baseball for episode number 82 on this Monday, April the 29th, 2024, airing on Twitch, X, and YouTube, and as always, powered by StreamYard. And once again, we are back. Well, I'm back at the least. It's been a couple of weeks since I made an appearance. Once again, we're just a trio. We're missing Khoury Fabs, and we're sending Khoury Fabs our best, celebrating an anniversary out there. So shout out to Khoury and the wifey. So appreciate you guys, and then to Tom and Joe. Of course, thanks for holding it down last week while I was getting wine drunk over in Napa.
We did not fire Khoury, Chad. Don't worry, Khoury's going to be back. He's just enjoying the day with his lady. So, listen, you got me holding down. I held down the fort last week. You got me hold down the Mets side of the fort today. So you guys are stuck with me and a little bit more volume out of me in the last 2 weeks. And I know Sierra was supposed to fire Rich. Rich found his way back, and Khoury is on the 15-day IL.
Rich has all the passwords, which is kind of the problem. So we can't really fire Rich.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not feasible. That's just not going to work unless they find all the encrypted info I'm keeping on a USB disk somewhere. But yes, we're back, and we have a good show for you guys tonight. A lot of our recurring segments making a return for tonight's show, including one that we haven't run out in over a year, known as Kurriculum. But hey, let's get into that lineup while we're at it. And that lineup is the Empire Express kicking things off as always, our Mets and Yankees notes. Then we do have Kurriculum. That is our MLB trivia segment hosted by Andrew Khoury, also known as Khore. So Kurriculum, nice spin on the academic verbiage. The New York Strike Exchange makes a return. We did this 2 weeks ago with our Bulls and Bears of the week, who are our best five and worst five players exclusive to our New York teams. And then we're going to wrap things up with Chooch's pick of the week. Once again, Chooch holding it down with the picks. But as always, and Joe, before I throw it to you for information more on our live stream, let's throw it to the chat and see what's going on in our chat room. Our Chooches of the chat, as Khoury Faz would love to call him. We have NFE in the building, Strike Zone. Hey, give NFE a follow over on YouTube. He goes live every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Does a great job with his live stream. He also has episodes before games, after games. So just subscribe to him, and he'll the notification bell will help you figure out when he goes live. Then we got Hitman727X, my guy Hitman. Shout out to Hitman, and also Forever Ghosts. Part of There Goes Joe. Where did Joe go? We lost Joe altogether. All right. God. Oh, wow. So it's back to Savages in the Bronx, baby. Savages in the Bronx. Let's go. Forever Ghost. Only Tom got that one. Forever Ghost in the building. My guy Ghost and Hitman holding it down. Yankees vibes. Shout out to them. We also have Sierra in the building. No, I wasn't fired. I'm graciously back here. Sierra doing amazing stuff over on Yankees Twitter. My guy Jack Esposito holding it down from Staten Island. I don't know where my guy Joe went, but he will be I guess he'll be here shortly. I don't know what's going on here, Tom. I guess we are just throwing it back Yankee style. We got Chris in the building. Speaking of Yankees, wait, you guys fired Khoury? I know we're cutting throat over here. It is what it is. Chris N over at Yankees Pod. And I'll throw one more out there to my guy Jason over at 161 River Ave. Gentlemen, and give 161 River Ave a follow. I think Joe is still trying to patch in, and as Joe is trying to figure out what is going on with his system, I'll cover Joe here. Actually, Tom, why don't you cover our good friend Joe here? What's the best way to stream live into Empire State of Baseball tonight and every Monday at 8 o'clock?
Yeah, best way is to follow us on YouTube. That's how the easiest way for us to kind of see your comments and all that. Get involved with the show. We would love you to watch us there. But if YouTube is not where you want to watch us, we also are available on Twitch, which was our original streaming home, and Twitter. If that works for you, again, YouTube is the best way to really kind of connect with the show. If you haven't, please throw us a like on the video. Follow the show, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Do the same things on Twitter and Twitch if you do that as well. But yeah, YouTube is Is YouTube is the real home now?
Yes, YouTube's the hub. That's where the fun's
Hub.
at.
That's a good one.
I like Hub. I think Hub's a good one right there. And here's the thing too: if you're over on Twitch and X, great. But again, the party's over on YouTube. You're only going to see the comment stream of your specific stream. So if you're not doing this right, you got to go over to YouTube. That's where all the fun is happening. Joe fell into a wormhole. So I guess we're just going to kick off the show without him. We were going to talk Mets baseball, but I guess we don't have to do that now. So let's talk
Thank
about
God.
the New York Yankees. And the
Let's
Yankees
do
right
that.
now are up against the Baltimore Orioles. Game one of a 4-game set in Baltimore, a true heavyweight fight. And what I'd call the first true litmus test for this New York Yankees team, being the first place team over Baltimore at a 19-10 pace going into today's games. Orioles rocking out with a 17-10 record. Currently, Baltimore has a 1-0 lead over the Yankees at the top of the 6th inning. It looks like sitting at the plate right now. I actually can't even tell. Oh, it's Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres at the plate right now. So hoping that Gleyber continues his career success against the Orioles and gets hot during the series. But Tom, thoughts on the Yankees? It was an interesting week for them, splitting a series against Oakland. I'm sure most fans were hoping that the Yankees just go in, take 4 straight, call it a day. And then facing the Milwaukee Brewers, tough loss on Friday. There's Joe from the cell. That's a WFAN callback right there. Joe from the cell. What's up?
Listen, my entire system took a dump. I got blue screens. My devices aren't connected, so I'll roll with this while I do a soft reset.
All right. Well, we're covering the Yankees for now while you're still figuring things out. So we'll start Yankees, then we'll jump over to the Mets side of the house. But Thomas, your thoughts on the Yankees' recent ball play?
Oakland was frustrating. Oakland's a bad team. They are the worst team, and Yankees should have at least won 3 out of 4. Their offense was just sputtering. Couldn't score. Pitching was good, but just this very frustrating series. You can't split a series at home with Oakland. It would have been great for them to win 3 out of 4, and then the frustrations really carried over into Friday. That game, the bats woke up a little bit in Milwaukee. But then some really interesting pitching decisions. I think Boone kind of came out and said that not everyone was available, so they threw in Tonkin or the Tonka truck, whatever you want to call him, and he gave it up at the end, and it was just like, oh boy, are we like? Oh, and there goes Joe. Are we just going on to a skid now? And is this like the beginning of the end? And then they scored 30 runs in 2 games. Just absolutely mashed the Brewers. We had the controversy, quote unquote controversy yesterday. I'm sure Joe was up in arms about it as Aaron Judge has his one arm up and, it wasn't called interference. I really prolonged that inning, and the Yankees then went on to score 7 runs that inning and then rout the Brewers again. So yeah, you feel good about that. And now you're going Brewers been a good team this year. Now you're going into Baltimore for 4. I think the minimum ask is a split. You have to show that, even though you are the big bad Yankees, the Orioles are the kings of the division. They won it last year. They were the favorites to win it this year. And you need to go in there and not get torched by them. 1-0 right now. They got 2 guys on. Looks like the Orioles are making a pitching change. So we will see how that turns out. And I think that's where we're at.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem with the Yankees right now is their offense, except for the last 2 days, of course, isn't clicking. And Judge has become again, up until the last 2 days, he caught fire, but Judge is a big part of that. If Judge is not hitting and Judge is not producing, then the Yankees are in big trouble. It's the Juan Soto show, and it's really the team is built to be Juan Soto and Judge show. It's clearly a problem when the ball, again, we still have the same problem with the Yankees. When the ball doesn't leave the ballpark, the Yankees don't score. And when the ball is leaving the ballpark, which usually means Judge is producing at a high level, the Yankees win. And that's what it really comes down to.
Yeah, I mean, Judge started to find it against Oakland. There was a game there where he was seems like he was seeing it better. He was hitting better. And then he really eventually did break out in Milwaukee. And we said it last week, are you worried about Judge? Obviously he had some of the injury stuff during spring training. And but as long as he's healthy, you know, he's not like he's washed. He's gotta catch up. And Joe is gone again.
No, he's
Can you still
again.
hear me?
Can still
I
hear
can
you.
hear you. Yeah.
I'm having camera issues, it looks like.
Okay. So once Joe's figured that out. Yeah, I let's see here. So Sierra here, Judge Rizzo Glaber woke up. So the rest of the league is screwed. And that's actually, you know, a good call out right there. You know, one of the things we saw, especially over the last couple of seasons, it seems like it was the same candidates that would fall into these ruts quick and really kill a rally. And it's the Rizzo, it's the Stantons, it's the Torreses. So when you get those guys going as well, you're talking about a real dynamic batting order. I gotta credit my guy Alex Verdugo. He's been awesome over the last couple of weeks. Arguably one of the top hitters. And personally, to me, a bull of the week candidate, but we'll discuss that in a few minutes. But yeah, the Yankees offense clicked very well against a pretty good Milwaukee team, a surprisingly good Milwaukee team, considering the pieces they lost prior to the season in Corbin Burns and Devin Williams to injury. And Milwaukee is showing everybody why they're still the big bad in the NL Central. But of course, this is the biggest test. Yanks Baltimore, as we mentioned before. I believe the Orioles still have a 1-0 advantage over the New York Yankees as they head into the bottom of the 6th inning. And again, Grayson Rodriguez, who already in his career has 1 start under his belt against the Yankees, allowed no runs over 6 1/3, is continuing that success in his 2nd start of his career against the New York Yankees. I want to call out something else here, Tom, with the Yanks while Joe is still in the dark here, but we will throw it to the Mets side once Joe is ready to go. Carlos Rodon obviously is our pictured guy here, but I want to pull out what I've seen in gold. A 341 on base percentage is the best in the American League, and it belongs to the New York Yankees. And even though collectively you look at the batting lines and they're not like overtly impressive, it goes to show that it hasn't been just a one-man show. Yes, Juan Soto's on base percentage certainly boosts that number, and it's a game changer. But it's nice to see the Yankees in the top 3 spots in terms of average on base, OPS, and 148. And on the flip side, Tom, it's a 3.08 ERA for the Yankees pitching staff. So great start for this team that really got shelled by some devastating injury news to start the season.
Starting pitching has been fantastic. Rodon has been the guy that they paid for 2 off seasons ago so far this year. And yeah, they are getting on base. Even a guy like Austin Wells, who he's batting like what, like a buck.
He's like a 143 clip at this point,
or whatever it is. His on base though is much higher. He is taking his walks. The Yankees have been a team that have been built on the walk and the home run for decades. It feels like they work pitchers, so they are taking their walks, and that's good. You want to get guys on because I think these guys, the Yankees offense has too much talent to just roll over and die. So I think as long as you take your walks, you get 2 on. Like Yankees just had 2 on that inning. They didn't score, but you know what? You get 2 on enough, you're going to hit a couple 3-run homers. You get a couple 3-run homers, you win baseball games.
Show being showed. Yeah, 100%. I think on both sides, Tom, it's just been it's been what you want right now. And
sure
hope they continue. Now, when it comes to this 4-game set, I'll ask you this too, and then I'm going to get to a couple comments. What is your expectation here? Obviously Yanks are down 1-0. You still got a ball game here. This game's not dead in the water yet, even though the offense looks bleak. But what are your expectations for this 4-game set against Baltimore?
You have to at least split. You can't get swept, and you can't go down 3-1 to Baltimore. You have to, they're the reigning champs of the AL East. But you need to, kind of put them. You want to think you put them back in your place. You're saying, listen, this Yankee team is different than last year's Yankee team and the Yankee teams of the past couple of years. We're going to come in here and we're going to show you why Camden Yards has been Yankee Stadium South for going on 25 years now. Go in, get your business done, at least sweep. I would love to see him win 3 out of 4. It's a big ask against a very good team, but you have to wait and see. The Yankees now missing Verdugo for, I don't know if it's with this whole series. He's on the paternity list. So I think they usually get 3 games for that. I think that's like the standard MLB provides. So he'll at least be back by the last game, but you don't know if he'll be back sooner than that. I don't know. You got it. You have to win. Like there's this team. If you want to be taken serious, you have to win some games down in Baltimore.
Yes, absolutely. Splitting the series is the absolute minimum what they need to do here. You know, you
Would
hate
love to
to,
see them win tonight and just like
of
get
course.
one out of the way. And
I'm
now it's like,
looking.
okay, now we're feeling good.
One of the talking points, though, you look at the pitching matchup. Corbin Burns is facing Luis Hill on Wednesday. That's the third game to start. So yeah, I would say like what would be key is the Yankees just take the first two. Like let the pressure come off you. Burns is one of the best pitchers in the American League. We had him as our number one spot, barring a few other pitching injuries that had happened. But we had him at the number one spot of our player rankings earlier in the year for a reason. And Burns is a tough candidate to try to win a game against. I'd say not only do you have to take two, preferably you'll want to take these first two. You don't know what's going to happen after that game three. Burns could spin a beauty. The Orioles offense can come alive. And now you're talking a complete momentum shift in that series. That's why beating Milwaukee, in those two games in the way in which they beat those two games, to me was momentum to go into tonight and say, all right, let's roll. Like that's the sort of offensive momentum this ball club definitely needed. And here we are, this is baseball, Susan, 15-15-0. And
I mean, they do have 5 hits through 6 innings. I'm sure there is some walks in there as well. Let's see, the Yankees have got 3 walks. So they've had 8 base runners in 6 innings, which that should be again a recipe to score runs. The Yankees have been putting a ton of guys on base all year, as we saw with the highest on base percentage, and then there's not bringing them home, or they're hitting into double plays, which are as frustrating as it gets. But I think if you just keep putting, you got to keep putting guys on and wait for someone to get the big hit. If you get guys on, you hit a double in the gap, boom, you get 2-3 runs. That's what you want to say.
So as Joe is still trying to work out his system, he's been receiving nothing but love and support for his IT right now. The help desk here in the comments have been great. Joe is stuck in 2006. Where is Khoury? I'm trying to get that Charizard. What the? All right, good for you.
Wanted a Charizard card from last week instead of the Peraza or the Beatty.
Right, that's context. That's fantastic. Thanks for that, Thomas. My guy,
I was paying attention.
It's okay, Joe. You got a face for radio anyway. Kind of messed up, but all right. Swift could be McDonald's Wi-Fi because Swift just said Joe is on that Dollar General Wi-Fi. No disrespect to Dollar General, but yeah, Joe is having some difficulties with the cameras. So it's just gonna be me and Tom for the time being. And while we still have a little bit of time, I'll throw out a couple of more shout outs to some people who just did trickle in. After my initial, we got Sunil in the house. Actually, the real story on Rich is he was found on the pickleball courts. I actually wanted to pick up pickleball, Tom. I don't know if you had interest in the game of pickleball there.
I probably would. I'd mess around. I've you and I used to at least work in the same office building where ping pong was very popular, and I would mess around. I would dabble in some ping pong. So I've never played pickleball, but I give it a shot. Tennis is fun. It seems like a less strenuous version of tennis. So
yeah,
I'm down.
I think it'd be great. And shout out to our mutual buddy and supporter of the show, Jimbo Long, my long running ping pong partner. I think me and him would kill it on the pickleball court. Swift, our guy Swift, what's going on, Swift? We have Alana in the house, probably still wine drunk from a week of red and whites in Napa Valley. So shout out to Alana. JR Yankee, I don't know who that guy is. But he's checked in. Mr. TC Steels, what's going on? TC, of course, one half of Yankees Morning Brew, which goes live Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11 a.m. to about 12:30 p.m. Every week. They do an amazing job. Give them a follow over at Morning Brew Sports, at Brew Crew Sports on X. Of course, our guy Mark here calling out for the Charizard card, and our guy Mike Parziali. Shout out to Pars, a longtime supporter, a longtime friend of the program, tuned in as well. So Thomas, I mean, I don't know what we do now. Do we talk about the Mets? Should we talk about the Mets?
Sure, Joe talks about the Yankees plenty.
Are we on a leg to talk about the New York Metropolitans? Sure, I guess. Why not? We'll have to. Oh, wait, look at this. He heard Mets, and I think he's figured it out. Joe, if you're ready to go, we're gonna get Joe in soon. Actually, you know what? I just saw another person pop up, and I know we're going to bring him on in a couple of minutes to talk baseball trivia questions. But Khore, if you hear me out there, you want to talk Mets baseball, give me a thumbs up. I'll let you in. All right, my guy. Joe's ready to go too? Oh, we're going to have a quartet. Okay, so we're going to have a quartet. So, Joe, you're back on a completely different studio mic and camera. Good luck to you, sir, on that. But I do want to introduce it's obviously not a debut here because he's a familiar face to the show. He has a damn segment, for God's sake. But for a lot of our new viewing audience who's not familiar, I'm going to introduce my guy, Mr. Andrew Khoury, also known as Khore. He is the host of Kurriculum, one of our 4 game segments that we cycle on a monthly basis.
Khore's mic is going crazy.
Me?
Oh, he's going. Okay.
Yes.
All right, so as Khore is adjusting the microphone and Khore's in as well, Khore will sub in for Khoury today as far as the Mets talk goes, and then we can get right into a little bit of baseball trivia through Kurriculum. But Khore, thanks for joining us as well. Joe, you're all settled now? Are we good?
I'm working. I'm on my wife's computer. I got a pink keyboard right now, and I don't know what happened, but I got this thing. I don't know what happened, but we're fine, which is weird because the Wi-Fi router literally sits right next to my computer. It's just, I think one of the USB ports on my computer actually died, the one that actually holds my camera. So that's a problem. But anyway, we're back.
We're back. And just in time, we're going to talk Mets baseball. Khore, are you good to go? We'll try to test that microphone once again. Khore, what's going on?
Can you hear me okay?
Much
we
better.
Can hear you more than okay.
Much better. You're good. You're good. There's no bleed through. So you're perfectly fine. All right. So let's talk about the New York Mets and Joe. We'll start with you, then kick it over to Khore. What's been your thoughts on the Mets play as of late as we pull up the latest standings?
Yeah, I mean, the West Coast road trip, you obviously are going to take a split between the Dodgers and the San Francisco Giants. At the end there, they kind of had bad luck running into a couple of really good pitching performances. I know, I think it was Wynn who gave them fits in between that as well. So they dropped 3 in a row, but then they came back and won that last 2 in San Francisco. Anytime you go out to the Dodgers in San Francisco and go 3-3, you'll take it whether you think they should have won more or not. The 2 games were concerning to me against the Cardinals. The offense was asleep. Marte's gone on bereavement list, and that's kind of a red flag. He was really hot. He's not a red flag, but he really was kind of helping this offense as much as he could. They did win yesterday, a walk-off by Mark Vientos. That's positive. So overall, listen, the Mets hit a little bit of a swoon, you can call it. They rebounded nicely, and if they can win again today, they'll be right back on track. They're basically in the same place they've been in, a couple games behind the Phillies. They're right in contention for that last wild card spot, which I think they're going to be all year. I think they're a half game out of that. So they just need more consistency across the lineup. Teams that either guys are hitting all at once or not, or all not hitting at once. And I think it's kind of frustrating because when the Mets get hot, they go 4-4 and then they go 0 for the next 12. And that seems to be a common theme across the lineup. And the other thing, Adrian Houser's been terrible. I know Met fans are basically at this point sick of watching him already. But that's something that we're 3 pitchers coming back from the IL. They're going to take his spot. It's just they kind of hold right now with a couple of injuries to Chooch. Stingler's on his way back for the first time and more.
Yeah, and I think the only thing I'd add, or a couple things I'd add, is, I mean, hard to be mad with splitting a West Coast road trip and going 3-3. I think you take that every single time. I think the inconsistency you're seeing too is just kind of the team we have. We're a 500 team probably, is probably like the average range of outcomes. And so you're going to have these stretches where they look awful and these stretches where they look great, and stretches where they just surprise you in both directions, right? Viento's coming up and hitting a 2-run homer wasn't on anyone's bingo cards, I would say, yesterday. But
we do.
I think to that point too, probably
we do have a situation.
A situation.
Sorry,
yeah,
sorry to interrupt you,
Joe. I know
you're
kind of cutting in and out. I think what you're getting at, because I got the alert as well. Mr. Luis Severino has not allowed a base hit into the 7th inning for the New York Mets tonight against the Cubs. So we could have Severino having a one of his biggest New York City moments. But as a Met, we'll keep an eye on that. I know the chat is probably not keeping as much of an eye on what is going on in the Mets game, but we will definitely let you know as things develop in Flushing.
But yeah, I mean, that's awesome. I mean, look at our chat here, and there goes Joe once again. I know, and I guess my apologies, guys. I know Joe's Wi-Fi is a little bit rough to kick off. A lot of technical difficulties at Studio Pugga, but hey, we have Khore here, so this is also a nice surprise to have Khore to talk a little bit of Mets baseball with us. Khore, when you look at the Mets at this early stage of the season, of the team, either on the offensive or pitching side of the ball, who has really surprised you thus far in this 2024 campaign?
I'd say the starting pitching staff in general probably surprised me. I think going in, we all saw 1-year deals. Like, these are prove it deals. Hope you get some innings out of them and get through the season. And Sevy's been pitching pretty great. Obviously, tonight can be historic for him. Minaya has been a rubber arm for us, so to speak, just taking the ball every 5th day, pumping innings for us. And I mean, Hauser's been bad, but in general, like, ERA's been good. They've been keeping us in games, especially beginning of the season when offense wasn't really there for the first week and a half. So yeah, I mean, just the starting pitching in general. I think even bullpen, we've had guys like Reed Garrett step up. He wasn't supposed to be a high leverage situation guy going into the season. I think now Mendoza's really taken a liking to him, and you can see he really trusts him, and in big spots, pitching 2 innings yesterday, going into extras, and really keeping that game tied for us.
Yeah, what is the story on Reed Garrett? Because I've noticed the name pop up recently, and I mean, you can't ignore a .61 ERA, 27 Ks, a .95 WHIP. Was this a spring training invite?
And wins too.
Yeah, I mean, he's crushing it. But I don't know where he came from. Was he always in the system? Was he a spring training invite? What was the deal with Reed Garrett coming up?
I think they claimed him off waivers last year. So this is a probably move at the deadline last year. They just kind of claimed him, and he's just been in the system, pitched well in spring training, and pitching well in the majors now.
It's awesome. And listen, when it comes down to it, and Yankee fans know it on the other side of the house, where sometimes you could just find gold out of obscurity with your bullpen. I mean, over the years, the Yankees have had that with guys like Wandy Peralta, Ian Hamilton recently, Clay Holmes, the current closer of the team. So it's always nice when you could just run into essentially a free arm like that, a lively one.
And it seems like the winning teams always seem to find these guys too, whether it's at the deadline or going into a season. You always seems like all the teams that are at the top always find good innings from guys you weren't expecting. So it's nice to see that happening this year for us.
And quick update on Severino. He's only thrown 79 pitches through 7. So this would be, it sounds like a situation that if he has the runway to go the distance, if he can shut the Cubs down for these last 2 innings, he's allowed 1 walk. And then he hit ex-teammate Mike Talkman. Real bad move by Sevy. What a dick.
The one thing I'd say too tonight, I feel like with what we've seen from Mendoza, I sure would think he's going to have the wherewithal to go 9 if he's up for it.
And it's a 1-0 game, so that's good. That would also bring some things into question. If you know, how do you let Severino, if he walks a guy in the 9th and it's still 1-0? You have the best closer in baseball. Do you say, listen, Sevy, we're sorry. History might have to wait. We need to win this game. So there might be some. I know Mendoza has gotten a lot of flack for some of his decision making as the Mets manager. We'll see. He'll have a big one to come up in the next couple innings here if Severino continues to be lights out.
I'll ask this last part, and thanks, Joe, for joining us once again. Hopefully, all is good and coming in from the cell phone once again.
Sorry.
But you'll look good this time
clear?
around.
Am I out?
Yeah, you're clear. I'm
You're
sure
good.
the audio is going to cut in once you keep getting into the
good
talking
enough
points. But I will ask this before we
Good
turn
enough,
it over
okay.
to Khore and Core Curriculum. When it comes to looking at a game like this, are you guys also superstitious with talking about it, with talking about what's going on? What's your take on broadcasters mentioning it, not mentioning it? What's your overall take there? We'll start with Joe, kick it to Core, and then Tom, and I'll close it out.
I'm superstitious on perfect games. I'll put it that way. You can't speak. Listen, we've seen plenty of no hitters. They come and go. Now we have those combined no hitters. Perfect games are different. You do not speak of a perfect game. You don't speak of that little note that no one has reached base at all. That to me is a little different. I don't want to know that. I can kind of figure that out. And obviously the announcers have a job to do, but as far as whether you put it in the group chat or somebody mentions it out loud, I think it's fine with no hitters. It's the perfect games that are so special that I get a little superstitious with.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with that. I feel like no hitters happen. I feel like we see 2 or 3 of them a year almost at this point, just with how offense has gone and just how hard pitchers are throwing nowadays. You just get a lot of swing and miss. You get a lot of soft contact. Run into a guy that's got it one day. So yeah, I don't have a problem talking about that. I think perfect games, they happen here and there. Probably not something I feel like if I was playing, probably wouldn't want people talking about it if I had one going. So I know I certainly wouldn't want anyone talking to me about it if I was in that situation. So yeah, keep that one not spoken.
I think it's different if the actual player, if you're in the zone. But I know there's been other guys who have had perfect games, no hitters going, and they don't want to be left alone at the end of the dugout and no one talks to them. I think superstitions are fun. Even if we expand it outside of no hitters and perfect games, wearing a certain jersey during playoff games. If if the Yankees scored in the 4th inning in a playoff game, and I was sitting here, I'm going to sit there for the 5th. It's all stupid. All these things are dumb. And the announcers, if anyone actually gets mad, I can't believe they said it. You need to take a look in the mirror and then slap yourself because you're an idiot. If you think anything you say out loud, not to the pitcher, again, if you say it to the guy and then it gets in his head, that's one thing. But if you think Michael Kay or Gary Cohen saying there's no hitter going, if that somehow gets down to Luis Severino, if you think that that's how things work, then I got a lot of things to explain to you.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I think when it comes to the paid professionals who work behind the microphone on the broadcast, I feel like if they're not talking about it, they're not doing a job. I think Khore makes great points as far as a player goes. Yeah, don't talk to me. I'm at the end of the dugout. I don't want to even know about it. Let me just stick to my zone. I think there's elements of all that make sense. But yeah, as a fan though, I get superstitious as hell when I talk to my dad. I'm like, hey, what's his name has something cool going on. Just saying, I will not bring it up. So that's the deal. As Joe, once again, at this point, Joe's been on 5 different cameras. Joe's got this is crazy.
And it's over. Severino's giving up a hit.
And there you go.
Give up hit to Dansby Swanson. I guess Gary Cohen must have said something, and that's why Severino gave up the hit to Dansby Swanson. He had walked Michael Busch beforehand, so now there's 2 on, no out. Mound visit. Joe, if you have it on, or Khore, if you have it on, see exactly what's going on, but I would assume this might be the end of the line for Severino. Again, if it's
We'll assume so.
if it's a 6-0 game, Sever, you want to get the complete game. If you have the gas, go for it. But it's 1-0 game, you have to go to your horses to close this out. If you're a Met.
Yeah, gotta go get the win now.
Yeah,
absolutely. And it's a shame there that Severino did give up a hit because again, I think if you're a Yankee fan here that's watched Severino all of the years, you want to root for a performance like that. Obviously not against your own team, but I was going to pull it off tonight.
Rich and I are always very pro Sevy, so
yeah. So you hate to see him give up a hit, but speaking of hits, Roback's really been a nice hit there, Thomas. Let's talk about Roback.
Let's do it. And you know what? You brought up an area of Roback that I had not previously mentioned before. You know what makes pickleball paddles? Roback makes pickleball paddles. So if you are into pickleball and you're looking to get a fresh paddle with some cool designs on it, Roback has you covered there. They do also have some polos going on with different pickleball designs. Currently, they're rolling out their tropical kind of drop with a lot of bright blues, greens, that sort of stuff. Again, Roback is their roots or whatever are in the golf game. I'm wearing the polo right now with some golf tees on, a little USA design. But if you're not a golfer, that's fine. They got a bunch of incredibly comfy hoodies, t-shirts, long sleeves, shorts, pants, awesome stuff for the ladies. Got Mother's Day coming up. I know I've got my wife a few things from Roback. She loves them. They're comfortable, wear around the house kind of stuff, joggers, full zip hoodies. So if you got a special lady in your life that likes to be comforted and just kind of chill around, Roback has you covered. Head over to roback.com, use promo code TWASPER15 to get yourself 15% off your first order.
That's what I'm talking about. Head on over to roback.com. We threw the link in there in the comments on YouTube. Again, that's where the fun is. You got to come over to YouTube to check out what we got going on in the comments thread. TWASPEL15 is that code. But Khore, it is your time to shine. And thanks for coming. Sometimes, listen, the starter is just like, he's just not having it today. You know, it's just not a good day from the very beginning. You got to call on the reliever. You got to call on the lefty. I called him Khore last minute to help save the segment. So thank you, Khore, for hanging on late with us here on ESB. But it's your time to shine, man. Let's get into your baseball trivia segment known as Core Curriculum, and we'll kick it off with your first question. Let's start off on the board.
All right. So back on April 9th, Mike Trout had hit his 10th consecutive solo home run going back to the 2023 season. To this date, of his 373 career homers, 235 were solo, so about 63%. There's one other player who's hit more than 373 home runs in MLB history, with at least 60% of them being solo home runs. Can you name that player?
All right, so it's also, are we, the core curriculum tends to be tougher trivia questions, guys. Are we sticking with our 3 strikes and you're out on core curriculum?
I'd say
this
so.
Could be tough.
I think it's worked out. So I say let's go with our K system. And yeah, I mean, I know none of us can monitor chat. Usually the one who asks the question can monitor it. But
so let me.
This is gonna be
I've tried to keep these first 2
Didn't
easier.
O'Neill just do the same thing?
Well,
Didn't Tyler O'Neill just do the same thing the other day?
I don't think he has 373.
Probably, but I don't think he has 373.
He doesn't have the 373. So that's fair. That's fair.
So 373.
If he does right now, he's Hall of Famer. I mean,
you'd think. I know I'm not trying to make this a team event, but you think he'd have to be a guy from a bad team, right? The reason why so many of Mike Trout's home runs are solo home runs is because he's on a bad team.
I'm going to go with his counterpart. I'm going to go with the counterpart he's always had, Bryce Harper.
No, incorrect.
I don't know if Bryce Harper has that many home runs yet. Maybe he does. I don't know.
My first guess would be Henderson. I don't think he's got 373.
So you said these are I guess like not to give a clue, but these are like gettable people. Like we're not going to like Buzzy Williams from the 1890s.
No. Yeah, this is a
Buzzy Williams is not an official guess for the record.
Yeah, we all watched this player on TV. He's from our time period.
I'll go Sammy Sosa.
Incorrect. He started his career and ended his career a New York Yankee.
Oh,
Soriano.
That's correct.
There you go. All right. Tom is on the board with Alfonso Soriano. That's a great question there, Corey. I just take a look at what the chat had because the chat looked like they were active there. Mark McGuire, Barry Bonds, Donnie says A-Rod.
I was thinking A-Rod too.
actually a pretty good guess right there. Prince Fielder, those Brewers teams, they were hit or miss. So that makes a lot of sense. So there you go. So Alfonso Soriano to Thomas. Now, Khore, you have one more question here. So let's throw it back up on the board. Khore, take it away.
On April 17th, and I think even last week too, Max Fried did this, but Tanner Houck threw a Maddox game, which is a complete game shutout on less than 100 pitches. Which two pitchers threw the most recent Maddox game for the New York Mets and the New York Yankees?
Kluber for the Yankees.
Incorrect.
Okay.
I'd probably have to go with DeGrom for the Mets.
Probably
Also
not.
incorrect.
Strikes out too many guys.
Mm.
That's how you keep your pitch count down. Nestor.
Incorrect.
Another K. Garrett Cole?
Incorrect.
Strikes out too many guys. You guys.
The Yankee guy only pitched for the Yankees.
So Tom's up to 2 Ks already.
Only pitched for the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
So
And it's one pitcher each, just to clarify. It's one Met, one Yankee, right? It's not 2 of each.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
2 answers here.
Okay.
And he did it more recently.
So
Yankee.
if one person gets one and one person gets the other, I'll throw a point each way. 2 pitches to a recent Maddox game. It's a complete game shutout thrown in less than 10 pitches. Oh, damn it. I completely missed the opportunity to play our new sound here, too, while we're waiting on the answer. Let's start up.
Did Scherzer have one for the Mets?
No.
Is that your guess? I guess it is.
I guess that was my guess.
That would be a guess.
The Met guy is still active.
Oh, you said
Started his career with the Mets as well.
started his career.
Started his career with the Mets. Oh, Zach Wheeler?
No.
I have a guess for it. But
The Yankee guy's in the chat.
And Joe is
Yankee guy's
punched
in
out.
the chat.
And
I
Joe
feel like
is
I have a
punched
Mets guess, but I want to think of I feel like a Yankee's a more possible get.
started his career as a Met.
I'm just gonna say it. Steven Matz.
Oh,
Steven Matz is the Mets one.
Bang!
wow! So
Dang.
Tom got the Met one, and we still have a Yankee one up there.
Yeah.
Only pitch for the Yankees.
And the only,
Tanaka.
No.
I'm
All
out.
right, Tom's now.
I have
Tom's
one more
out.
clue, but it may
I
give
got-
it away. So if you want it, let me know.
Well, I think that should be disallowed. I don't think there should be a clue that gives it away. Now am I saying
It
that
might.
'cause I'm already
I
out?
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
Do I go back? Guidry?
No.
No, it's still active.
Oh,
Still active.
You said. Oh, there you go.
Oh, the Yankees still active too?
The Yankees still active.
Oh.
Technically, he's not on the team at the moment.
I'm gonna time myself out here. I'm taking the backwards K. So, Khore,
is
what
it
was
Herman?
the Yankees?
It's Domingo Herman when
Oh,
he threw his perfect game
no.
last year.
The no active team.
I was going to
gave
say
away.
it was a very
That was
historic
good.
day when the Yankee guy did it.
My goodness. All right. Well, there you have it. So
Good
Tom Tom
questions.
cleaned up. He got two answers in there. So 2 more points headed to Thomas's way. We did, yeah, correct guesses in the chat. You were right, Chris. Throwing in Herman there. And it is Domingo Herman. A great question. And honestly, I didn't even know what a Maddox game was up until about a couple of weeks ago when
I just learned
obviously
from
did his
Khore.
thing. So this is really cool stuff, though, and really good information. And there you go, Domingo Herman and Steven Matz. So not even the biggest names for either team, but both accomplished this feat. Khore,
What was
uh,
the Maddox game? Was
Oh.
what 73 pitches total?
I was 88.
It's named after him because he had the most Maddox
Right.
games in his career. But yeah, he's had some crazy ones. He's had, I think, 73 pitches sounds about right for him.
there you go. Khore, I really appreciate your time, man. Thanks for tuning in, helping us out with some of the Mets talk while Joe had his stuff all figured out. And thanks again. We'll see you in a few weeks' time for more Khore curriculum. Let's bring it. And Corey Faz obviously got to get in the mix. So, Khore, thank you so much.
Of course, anytime, guys.
Take care, man. And for those of you at home, make sure you're giving Khore a follow. He's a very knowledgeable baseball fan, clearly, because these trivia questions he's given us are never cookies. They're always complicated. They always come with unbelievable facts and information there. Give him a follow on X at Khore_ and on Instagram at _Khore. So if you're doing Khore_ and you flip it around and you try both times on both X and Instagram, you're going to be right one way. It might take you 10 minutes to figure out which one belongs to which, but right there down the ticker. So screenshot it, do what you got to do, and give my man Khore a follow over on social media. All right. Speaking of, let's talk about Instagram, and Joe on the cell is going to talk about Instagram. So take it away, Joe on the cell.
I don't have the thing up, but you can join us on Instagram at Empire State of Baseball. I think we reached over 3,000 followers on Instagram the other day, which was awesome. Khoury does a great job with all the reels. You can follow Khoury at Khoury Faz, myself at JR Pugs, Rich at Rich J Rivera, and Tom at T Wospil, all on Instagram. We have our archived graphics, segments, polls, memes, everything, reels. You can find them on Instagram for all of our visual aspects of our show over there. And speaking of Instagram and speaking of visual graphics, the next segment is going to be up on Instagram, which is the New York Strike Exchange.
Yes, we will get that those graphics up on Instagram for the New York Strike Exchange. Just real quickly, want to just shout out 3 more members of the chat. Michael Caputo, what's happened to Michael Caputo? Tuning in over on X. Come on over to on YouTube though, Michael. A lot of fun happening in the chat right now. We got Donnie Clark in the building. What's going on, Donnie and Joe? Joe's in the YouTube chat as well. Look at Joe trying to give us that extra view. I really appreciate that, Mr. Joseph. Good stuff there. All right. New York Strike Exchange. Let's do it. So once again, we're back again with our NYSC. This time we're ranking the players exclusive to the Mets and Yankees from between the period of April 15th to April 28th, which is essentially since the last time we did this segment. So we're going to get things kicked off quickly with our Bears. So we start off with the bad, our bottom 5. And Thomas, I want to give a read to our Bears of the week. What we got?
Sure. Yeah, we'll start from the not as worst, and we'll get to the worst of the worst. Number 5, you got Caleb Ferguson coming in. He's currently on the mound right now, actually, for the Yankees. Just hit Gunnar Henderson. So, again, not very nice of him. Working himself into some trouble here to maybe stay on that Bear list in 2 more weeks. Anthony Volpe. I think he was on our Bulls list 2 weeks ago. Probably he was because he had such a hot start. And he's been hot doo-doo ever since. Hopefully he gets it going again because stinks seeing him struggle. Glaber, we got number 3, who he's been struggling all year. I don't know if he was on the Bears list last time. Probably was because he's also been pretty bad all season, and he can get it turned around. Brett Beatty coming in at number 2, certainly struggling. And the Mets would love to see him get going. And number 1, Joe mentioned him before, Adrian Hauser, who's been just dreadful for the Mets these last 2 weeks. 10.5 ERA is not going to get it done for the New York Metropolitans.
Yeah, Hauser's been basically non-competitive for the Mets. It's frustrating. Unfortunately, it's somebody that you have to live with for the time being, especially with Senga, McGill, and Peterson out. Looks like McGill is going to be the first one back. He pitched 2 innings the other day and struck out all 6 batters he faced in a minor league rehab start. So I'm assuming when he comes back, Hauser will be moved to more of a swingman, innings eaten role, which I think is what Hauser should be. I mean, he should be able to give you 3 or 4 innings out of the pen on weird days where the starter comes out early or gives up a lot of hits. He should be that guy that goes in there and mops up innings and just makes it so your bullpen isn't fried the next day. Beatty's the bigger concern for me. Beatty got off to a big start, cooled off a lot since, hasn't really done much of anything lately. The positive is his defense has not suffered at all. and I think we want to see how he copes with it. But at the same time, the Mets just called up Mark Vientos, and Mark Vientos is getting the start today after he hit a walk-off home run yesterday. So, Beatty, I think, is starting to be worried a little bit. And, Vientos could really put himself in a position to force Mendoza to put a platoon together at third base. I think that's a problem. So we'll see. We'll see how he responds to it. Competition's usually good one way or another. You're going to get your answer at who's your third baseman. But Beatty should be worried. And I will say, I think, you guys could touch on it more. But if Judge did not explode the last 2 days, he would. I feel like Judge would have been on this list as well. Because he's been rough this year, and hopefully he comes out of it. But we'll see. That was a big. I think he was 6th overall in our rankings this week.
Yeah. Those last couple of days did save his overall numbers, but he's been struggling.
He was on the precipice, but one player I do want to talk about that's on the bear list before we turn it over to the good side of the house here is the man at the number 4 spot, and that is Anthony Volpe. And again, Tom touched on it before. Anthony Volpe was not only on our top 5 bull list last time around, but he was pretty high up on the list to a point where you had thought Volpe could actually snatch that number 1 spot. And if it wasn't for Juan Soto, would have probably been that number 1 for our inaugural Bull Bear list for this season. And there it is, a 182 batting average. And that's in the last 14 games in that time period between April 15th and yesterday, April 28th. So that's a 182 batting average, 10 and 50. That's 10 of 55, a 523 OPS and 17 Ks. Not what you want, especially considering how great he was starting the year. And I got to be honest, guys, it seems like we kind of know a major reason to his downfall. Moving him to the leadoff spot really hurt Anthony Volpe. And this was a player who contributed well in the middle part of the order with a little less pressure, a little less time, a little more time to prepare for his initial at-bats of a game. And I understand the reason why you want to see a guy like that. He fits that prototypical leadoff spot with the type of player he is. But because the Yankees put him in that spot last year so early and kept moving it up and down the order, it didn't seem to work for him then. I didn't think that was going to work for him now, despite such a hot start. And what I've been saying all along, ever since really the first day they put him up there, was that if you have Volpe as your leadoff man, you take one element out of his game, and that's the stolen base. Because why would you send Anthony Volpe from first base with Juan Soto right up after you, who's more than capable, if he's doing his thing, could drive you in from first base or move you to third base with one swing of the bat? I would never send Anthony Volpe, honestly, with Juan Soto right after him. And I don't know if Joe and Tom kind of feels the same way. I think there is more value in his stolen base attribute in the middle of the order, but more importantly, to take a little less pressure off him while he tries to get his ABs to start off this 2024 season. Joe, I'll throw to you then, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Volpe's still a kid. He's still coming into his own. I would have left him where he was because that it was working. And whether or not you're 8th or 9th or leadoff, in the middle of the game, it doesn't matter as much because his job is still to be a table setter. Clearly, the leadoff position is a pressure position for Anthony Volpe. I've said it since day one. I think Verdugo is your best bet out of the leadoff spot. I would like to see the Yankees give that an extended look. He's a professional hitter. He is an excellent base runner, even if he doesn't have the lightning speed that Volpe does. I think Volpe's got to go down, back into that, 7, 8, 9 role, wherever they want to keep him. And get Anthony Volpe playing great, and get him playing great, not for 2 or 3 weeks. Get him playing great for 3 or 4 weeks.
That's
what
a month or 2. I were advocating for that when they did move him up. And speaking of Anthony Volpe, although I don't have the video of it to see exactly what happened, he just made an error, which led to a second Baltimore run. Looks like the Yankees would have gotten out of the inning. The defense with him, I feel like it's been a bit of a facade. He won the Gold Glove last year, but I don't think he was excellent in the field. And he's, I don't know, like he makes a lot of plays, but there's a lot of plays that he does not make. It seems like he throws away the ball, going to first on double plays a lot, which you don't get an error for that. You can't assume a double play, and that's a whole other nonsense that we don't have to get into. But yeah, the problem is Yankees don't have a leadoff hitter right now, and they didn't want the Yankees put Volpe there because Glaber wasn't getting it done. So yeah, Verdugo could be an option. DJ LeMahieu is now even further set back. So the Yankees just don't really have someone naturally to fill that spot unless you just want Verdugo to do it.
Well, that's the thing. Verdugo's done it before.
Yeah.
And that like putting Glaber there kind of was a head scratcher in of itself because I don't think Glaber's ever consistently been a leadoff hitter in his career. So having Glaber fill that position was kind of a head scratcher because
I think they didn't want two lefties to start off the game. And they didn't want to just put Volpe right back there. I think if DJ LeMahieu wasn't hurt, going into the season, he would have been the leadoff hitter. It just they didn't want to put two lefties up top.
Verdugo's hit 123 games in his career batting leadoff. I mean,
but he's a lefty.
He's a career.
That's why he's there.
I understand that, but I'd rather go and have the lefty. That I'll worry about those problems late in games versus not having guys who traditionally are not leadoff hitters in a spot where they're not produce. I mean, Verdugo's a 282, 334 lifetime leadoff hitter. That's more than adequate for the Yankees if they want to go in that direction and figure it out from there. I'd rather see that if I was a Yankee fan than trying to put a guy who's not prepared to take that spot in that spot.
Yeah, and I think it's getting to a point now that I think you have a lineup that's consistent of so many middle of the order guys that I think the easy move and the unfortunate move is when he's returned. I think DJ LeMahieu is going to be the leadoff hitter of this team. And
who knows when he's going to be back, though?
I didn't want to see him in that spot. That's the other thing, too. When it comes down to it, we don't even know when he's going to be. It seems like he keeps regressing during not exhibition games, but extended spring training in the rehab games. So it's a question mark. But again,
sorry.
No, go for it, Joe.
I would say I think DJ is at the point in his career, both health-wise and in the aging curve, where DJ should be playing 4 days a week, and he should be playing 2 or 3 different positions during the week. Like I don't see DJ as being a 5 or 6 day a week guy anymore.
I agree.
And then accentuating that by putting him in the leadoff spot, I think works at a detriment. I think DJ can be an extremely useful player if you kind of work him as almost like a sixth man in the NBA, where he's coming off the bench a couple days a week. Everybody on the infield's getting a rest, and that's how you're doing it. Rizzo's at the point where he starts to need a rest now, given his age as well. So, I think that would work out perfectly when DJ comes back.
I 100% agree with you. And what I was stating on the DJ move, it's not what I want to see. It's something I can simply see the organization making that decision on when the time comes. But DJ should fulfill the role he was initially signed for all the way back prior to the 2019 season, and was to be that backup utility infielder to spell first base, to spell second, to spell third. He hit himself into a position to start where now you're talking about a perennial all-star, and at one point an MVP finalist. Granted, short season, but it was a great sample size to see DJ in that year and a half span do what he had to do. So again, I agree. I think DJ fulfilling that role, playing 4 days a week, spelling the rest of the infield, makes a lot more sense than throwing him right back into the fire. But seeing where this organization's going, DJ going to the leadoff spot would not surprise you.
Let's get positive, Rich. No, enough of this negativity.
That's what I was going to say.
Positive.
I was about to say, let's get the Bulls. And Joe, I know you've been turned on by your technology here. Let's preach some positivity here with some Bulls of the last 2 weeks. What we got? What's our Bulls looking like?
Yeah, so starting at number 5 is Clay Holmes for the Yankees. Hasn't given up a run in the last few weeks. Has he given up a run all year?
I don't think so. I don't think an earned run.
I don't think so. So he's been fantastic for the Yankees out of the bullpen. I think some Yankee fans were a little nervous on the level that Holmes can pitch out of in that closer spot sometimes, but he's come into this season firing and firing on all cylinders. He's also had a ton of opportunities. The Yankees have played well in the early part of the year. Number 4 is Starlin Marte. Marte was a guy that the Mets were not sure of where they were going to be, what they were going to get out of him. He was injured most of last year. The Mets had talked in the offseason about how he's back to his old self, and he really has been back to his old self. He's been a consistent force in the Mets lineup. He hasn't had the up and downs at all. He's been hitting 300, and he has been absolutely the most consistent hitter in the Mets lineup basically the whole year. Number 3 is Carlos Rodon of the Yankees. In his last 2 weeks, he has 17 innings pitched, 2.12 ERA, 17 strikeouts, and a 140 average against. He's been fantastic. Again, another guy off of injury, looks healthy, looks sharp, and Rodon, especially off an awful spring training, has really turned around, and even a bad first start has really turned it around and been a staple and been the guy that the Yankees were looking to sign when they first signed him. Number 2 is Juan Soto. I mean, what are we going to say about Juan Soto? Juan Soto is playing at an MVP level. He's been excellent. In the past few weeks, he hasn't slumped at all. If you call what he's doing now a slump versus what he started off, basically batting 400 the first 2 weeks of the year, you'll take this any day. So I mean, there's not much to be left to said for that. But number 1 is Francisco Lindor, who's completely turned it around the last few weeks. 298 average, 982 OPS, 4 home runs, 9 RBIs. He's been fantastic as well. And the reason he's number 1. The reason he's number 1 is he's come down from so far. He was on our Bears list the last time, and he's really come back to the point where he is what the Mets expect of him, and that's why he's our number 1 this week.
Not only on our bear list, he was the number 1 bear. He
Yes.
literally went from the absolute worst position you can be on our rankings to the absolute best within 2 weeks. And Lindor has been incredible.
He was hitting
Again,
like 50. He was hitting like not 500, 0.5.
Yeah.
It was
0.05. It was bad. It was bad. Again, Soto's doing his thing. Tom, I don't know if there's anybody you wanted to touch on specifically. There's one particular Yankee in the middle of that list I do want to talk about, but what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna talk about him as well, but I'll talk a little bit about Clay Holmes. Yankee fans get nervous around Clay. But listen, he's getting the job done. Yes, he's not a strikeout pitcher, so he's going to induce contact because he throws that sinker, and he's gonna get outs that way. But if you look at his stats for the year, he has a WHIP of 1, so he's averaging 1 guy gets on per outing. But he's gotten the job done. He's been as good as any closer has been in baseball so far. He hasn't given up an earned run. So I understand that people get nervous about him, and I've brought this up before. He's been great. He's been all you could want him to be. So I don't know. He's not Mariano. Sorry.
Well, no one ever will. I've always said Mariano Rivera is not only the greatest closer, I think he's the greatest player to ever play his position in baseball. I think that's bar none. You can make the argument for every other player in the game. You don't make the argument there at that closer role. I want to ask the chat before I talk about Carlos Rodon. When it comes to Clay Holmes, because predominantly our chat tonight, as it's been for the last month or so, has been Yankee fans. What is your confidence level in Clay Holmes entering the game in the 9th inning from a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being your least confident, 10 being your most confident? I'm kind of curious what you guys are thinking now with how Clay Holmes has pitched in this year, but also considering what he's done at times over the past couple of seasons. What is your confidence rankings to the chat in Clay Holmes between 1 through 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best? But I do want to talk about Carlos Rodon because of this list, and I don't know where the votes fell individually, and Corey Faz's votes were also counted. Shout out to Corey Faz once again. Couldn't join us tonight, celebrating with his lovely lady. But Carlos Rodon, I had voted for the number 1 spot for the Bull. Rodon, I think, just missed the Bull list last time around, and I had him in that because he was off to such an incredible start. And he's continued to pad onto it where you're starting to think, hey, maybe this is the Carlos Rodon that the Yankees are paying just under $27 million a year for right now. That 2.12 ERA of the last 3 starts have been startling. Obviously, that started off with a bit of a hiccup against the Blue Jays to kick things off, but he's settled in really well since then. Rodon I had pegged for the number 1 spot. Obviously, Lindor has been fantastic, so it's still no wrong in this thing. But Rodon at this point, I would say is coming for that number 1 spot soon. So Carlos Rodon, happy to see him up on our bull list because guys, how many times do we have him on the bear list in 2023?
Last week, I called that he would be a guy who's not on the bull list who would make his way onto the bull list this year. So I'm just going to give a little props to myself.
Let's play
that again real quick. Who of guys who are not on the bull list this week? Who do you think can get their way in when we do this in 2 weeks?
I think Severino definitely after this performance tonight. I think that's a guy who, I mean, that's cheating, but I think that's a guy who can do it. You know, he's been pitching well. He's been the Mets' best pitcher so far this year, which I think is genuinely a surprise for everybody. I think he might have been 6 actually. And I think Judge and Rizzo on the Yankees side probably because Judge had 2 hot games in a row. He could kind of really start his season off in the next few weeks. So I'd probably go with a guy like Judge where you know, if he has a couple games where he hits a couple home runs, he could be on this list for sure.
So Joe takes one of the best players in the AL and then a guy who almost threw a no-hitter as his going out on a limb, guys. I'm going to take another Yankees starting left-hander. Give me Nestor. I think I like what I've been seeing out of Nestor recently, getting back to form, a guy who, you know, love Nestor, but he's always worried me, and he looks the part again. He looks like 2022 Nestor. That's the good Nestor year. So
minus the fake pitching.
Hey, I mean, listen, they allowed it, so whatever.
That drives me nuts. Sorry, that drives me nuts. I don't mind, you know, the weird windups that he does, but when you fake throw a ball like that to me is a little.
They found out after that.
Unfortunately, we do have a final now in Baltimore. 2-0 Orioles win the game, taking game 1 of their 4-game set. So the Yankees offense, which looks so electric over the past couple of days, fell flat. 7 hits, so they out-hit the Orioles, but they could not cash in on the opportunities. 2-0 Baltimore with the win. For my bull pick, who's going to crack the next 5 on the Yankee side of the house, you know what, guys? This is going to sound crazy. I'm feeling one of those John Carlos Stanton heaters are coming. Ooh. And I think the at-bats are starting to look a little better. I think Stanton might be a one that might be on this bull list in a couple of weeks. You heard it here first. John Carlos Stanton's about to go on a heater, folks. And I think he's going to be on this bull list in a couple of weeks' time. So it's 9:08. We still not done with the show because we got to go over the Matt and Chooch's pick of the week to end things off, and we'll wrap it from there. Jesus. But Thomas,
we're done.
Let's talk about X.
Yeah, sure. Join us over on Twitter for over our 3,000 followers. Just a little bit more followers than we have on Instagram. Instagram catching up. But yeah, follow us over there. You can follow the show at ESB Podcast on Twitter. You also can follow our subsidiary accounts, ESBNYM for Mets Talk, ESBNYY for Yankees Talk. Definitely a little quiet during these games tonight, but we'll definitely be much livelier as the season goes along. You also can follow us all individually. You can follow Joe at JR Pugs, Rich at Rich J Rivera, me at T Wospil, and our good friend Khoury, who will be back next week at G Gory. And that's Twitter, so I'm not a loser and call it X.
It's X because that's the name of the company now.
Because you're a massive loser if you call it X.
Dad, what are you calling it? We have 56 people in the building. Is it X or Twitter to you? I want to see your answers. But until then, let's throw it over to our guy Chooch for another edition of Chooch's Pick of the Week. Way, Mr. Chooch.
What's up, ESB crew? Chooch is back with Chooch's Pick of the Week. This week, I'm going to take you all out to the end of the week. We're going to go for a weekend series in Kansas City where we have the Royals, the hot start Royals, versus the defending World Series champions, Texas Rangers. I'm going to say that the Royals stay hot. They're going to take the series, going to win 2 out of 3 games this weekend. What do you guys got?
Okay, so Chooch going with the Kansas City Royals Texas Rangers series, and we were a little late with that second graphic. He actually is choosing MJ Melendez as his player to watch. The Royals outfielder / catcher. I'm actually not sure what Melendez is doing for the 2024 season now. But real quickly, Joe Tom, Royals Texas Rangers. Who do you got?
I'll be quick. I'll take the Rangers on our Instagram poll, which hopefully everyone saw. We had the who is the best division in baseball. I put my vote to the AL West, and that's because of the three-headed monster of the Rangers, Astros, who have been horrible, but they they'll come back, and the Mariners. So I'll take the Rangers.
I love what the Royals are doing. They're 17-12. They've gotten off to a hot start. They're 12-5 at home. They are absolutely rolling. And they've been a surprise team this year. I like what they're doing. I think they continue at home. I think they take the series against Texas.
You know what? I'm leaning more towards Joe. I'm leaning towards my AL Central Division winner pick when we did our division winners a couple of weeks back. I'm going with Kansas City, the home favorite, and I'm going with a Kansas City Royals sweep. That is what I'm sticking with here. But Chooch, good luck to you once again. And to the rest of you, we'll see you here next week. We'll be back. Our quartet will be finally whole when Corey Faz returns. Episode number 83 next Monday. That is May the 6th at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. We'll see you there. But Tom, Joe, as always, we'd like to throw it around the room for a little bit of the thank you train. We'll start with Joe, go to Tom, and then I'll wrap it up.
Yeah, thank you guys for having the patience. Technical difficulties today. We'll get them solved before next week.
I'd like to thank Joe's Wi-Fi because the show has never been more electric than when Joe was not on it.
He's right about that. All right. Well, we'll send you home on this note. Hopefully, listen, when it comes down to it, Yankees still got 3 games in the set. The Mets now down 3-1. Still some ball game left. Hopefully the Mets can make this comeback here for Joe's sake and for his Wi-Fi sake. We'll see you next Monday for 8 p.m. Eastern time. That is Empire State of Baseball. Take